Greetings, children of the screen. Your friendly neighborhood nerd scum here once again, and I apologize I haven't had much coming out this last week or so. As I had said before, I'm having to work a little bit more so that I can take care of my car situation, but I had a few minutes, so I thought I would come and talk to you guys about Thor Ragnarok. Rated PG-13, coming in at 130 minutes, and directed by Taika Waititi, and I apologize if I just butchered that name. This third installment of the Thor franchise I did not get to see in theaters, unfortunately, due to the very same car issue that I'm currently dealing with. However, I marked whenever it was going to be coming out on Blu-ray DVD, and I made sure that I set enough money aside that I could go check it out, so I have just recently watched the movie for the first time. Now, when the trailer for this movie originally came out, I wasn't too worried about it. I thought the movie looked pretty dope. However, I know that a lot of people did not feel that way. In general, everyone kind of thought it looked fun, but there were a lot of people who were very hesitant because the trailer looked and felt much more like a Guardians of the Galaxy trailer than anything that we'd seen coming from Thor. And I know that this, in fact, just downright pissed some people off. However, for me personally, I actually thought it was a really smart move. Because within Marvel's universe, Thor is technically a cosmic-level entity, and within the movies we've established that they're not actually gods, they're just aliens with very, very advanced technology who live much longer lives. So it makes sense to put him inside of the same visual universe as the Guardians of the Galaxy. Not to mention the fact that Thor, in his older stuff, like, the Jack Kirby drawn Thor stuff is certainly not trippy in the same way that, like, Guardians of the Galaxy or, like, some Doctor Strange stuff is, but it gets super weird and it gets super trippy. So, like, taking those elements of Thor and inserting them into the established cinematic, like, galactic cosmic universe, for me, seemed like it would work really well. Beyond that, like, as much as I liked the first Thor movie, which is essentially just a rom-com with action bits in it and superhero bits in it, and then the second movie, which is more kind of just by the numbers kind of comic book action movie. As much as I liked the first one and certain elements of the second one, like, I think we can all say that, like, the Thor movies are not the most profitable or the most popular thing coming out of the MCU. Not to mention, like, especially the second Thor movie got a lot of criticism, and it's not a secret that a lot of people just flat out do not like that movie. So, moving into the third one, taking a completely different approach, and doing something completely different to try to shake up that character while, like, maintaining Chris Hemsworth's take on the character, I think is a really, really good idea. And furthermore, it's like, yeah, when, as a person, the people making the movies, they're like, okay, well, the Thor movies aren't that popular. Well, what is popular? Well, the Guardians of the Galaxy movies are really popular. Right on. And what else? Well, people keep asking us for a Planet Hulk movie, but we're never going to do a Planet Hulk movie because, like, Columbia or whatever still owns the distribution rights to Hulk. So why don't we just take Guardians of the Galaxy, Planet Hulk, and a Thor story that everyone knows the name of but doesn't know the story for, and combine them together to create something that hits all these different current pop culture niches and just put them together into one movie. And in my opinion, that is a really solid idea. Now, having said that, yes, it seems like a really solid idea, but of course, as we all know, an idea is not the execution. So, what did I actually think of the film? I really liked it, guys. I really did. It was not perfect. There were definitely some issues that I saw in the film, but overall, I really, really liked it. Taika Waititi had a very distinct visual style that really worked for this film. The idea of them taking Sakaar, the planet from Planet Hulk, and visually altering it to represent more of a Jack Kirby style, which is more indicative of the classical Thor stories, was really, really good idea. It gave the movie, despite being grounded in kind of like a Guardians of the Galaxy-esque type cosmic level story, it has its own visual style, and the color palette, while being very similar to Guardians of the Galaxy, does its own thing. I thought that worked really, really well. Mashing those story elements together also worked really well, and it gave us a fun and interesting cast of characters. Some old, some new, but it was just fantastic. I mean, Cate Blanchett as Hela is just fantastic. Like, she looks like she stepped directly out of an old Jack Kirby comic. Now, they did combine her powers with another character whose name I can't remember, which I think is actually from the Ragnarok story, or maybe from Fear itself. But either way, she was freaking dope. The addition of Tess Thompson as Valkyrie, like, I really like what the idea of, like, the Valkyrie being a elite group of female soldiers, and, like, the old cheesy red Valkyrie mask has become, like, the tattoo. Like, that worked really well for me. Freaking Jeff Goldblum, man, I love Jeff Goldblum, and he frickin' rocked it in this movie. Obviously, he's a more comedic relief character, but that totally worked for me. And speaking of more comedic relief characters, frickin' Karl Urban. Holy crap, guys. I love Karl Urban. In my mind, he can do no wrong, even though clearly he has in the past with movies like Beowulf and Grendel, and some other things of that nature in his early career. Go check out the episode of Xena Warrior Princess he was on. That's pretty freaking hilarious. But anyway, he is fantastic in this movie, and they actually managed to give him an arc where he's technically a villain, but he's actually more just kind of a pathetic guy who's always been looking for his chance to make his mark, and he kind of just goes with the flow to the point where, like, yeah, he's a villain, but you do kind of, while you don't agree with him, you understand a lot of the decisions he makes, and at certain times you definitely feel sympathy for him, which makes his whole character arc, which, yeah, he has a character arc, and it's kind of dope. Like, it makes it really work for me. Beyond that, obviously, Chris Hemsworth is freaking awesome, and he managed to depict a Thor that had spent more time on Midgard and, like, has a better sense of humor, and, like, you know, he really managed to balance that really well. As always, Tom Hiddleston is freaking phenomenal, just managing to be funny and kind of creepy and make us hate him and love him all at the same time. Mark Ruffalo, holy crap. I mean, obviously, guys, the Hulk stuff in this movie is freaking awesome, but Mark Ruffalo, his take on Bruce Banner in this movie after having been trapped inside of Hulk for 2 years, not knowing what's going on, oh man, it's so good. It's quirky and fun. Like, as a person who's lived in this world, it looks like someone who just, like, woke up from, like, a drug blackout. Like, that's kind of how he plays it, and it's absolutely awesome in that respect. So yeah, the cast is really solid. I really enjoyed the story. I really, really enjoyed the visuals. This movie has some of the best action from any Thor movie. Like, they know they're getting rid of the hammer, so within, like, the first 10 minutes of the movie, they give you the best hammer fight we've ever seen. And it's just used really well. Almost everything in this movie works for me, 100%. There's a few things that didn't, and I'm just going to point out one right here because it seems like a very common thing that's happening now in comic book movies, and specifically Marvel movies. This movie, much like Guardians of the Galaxy 2, while they both really work for me, and I like them, and I think they have heart, and they have humor and action, one of the things I've noticed is that these movies are so much in a hurry to subvert the iconic moment for the joke that they often forget the importance of those iconic moments. Like, yes, sometimes they are cliche moments, but people forget that the cliche is a cliche for a damn reason. It's because at some point it was done so incredibly good that everyone else began to want to do it after that. So there are certain moments in both these movies where, like, we're building up emotionally to a point, and they subvert it with a joke that, on occasion, the joke is not nearly as good as the moment they're subverting. In Thor Ragnarok, specifically, the two biggest moments for me are when when Bruce Banner hulks out in Asgard. Like, he does the whole thing that they kind of did from The Incredible Hulk, where he jumps out of the frickin' plane and, like, is going to crash down and become Hulk, but instead he just dies, and then, like, Hulk becomes Hulk off screen, and, like, it's a fun little moment, but the truth of the matter is there are so many amazing things you could have done with that moment that, while being slightly cliche, yes, would undoubtedly be audience cheer moments. And the other is kind of towards the end of the movie, where, like, we're kind of trying to go out on this kind of, like, very epic, otherworldly, like, melancholy but hopeful tone, and they just keep breaking it down with jokes from the character of Krog. And I like the character of Krog throughout this movie. However, it is worth mentioning that he is played and voiced by the director, which might be why he gets some of the final lines in the movie. Like, I thought he was really good throughout the whole thing, but at the end of the movie, like, they totally squash on any emotional, like, any emotions that have been building up for that ending, they completely squash them. And it's like, the jokes are not really that funny at that point. Like, they're okay, but it's like, that should have been like your closing credits jokey stuff or something. I don't know, man. Like, I really enjoyed the movie. I really like it. It is definitely like up there in the most enjoyable Marvel movies for me, but I definitely think that there were times, just like in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where the jokes stepped on the story and the jokes stepped on the emotional stakes and the emotional relevance of the movie itself. Right on, guys, but that's just what I thought. Did you like Thor Ragnarok? Do you think that they should have stuck with a more traditional Thor story, or is this exactly what the franchise needed? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you like this video, please leave a like and share it with some friends. That's more important now than ever with all the weird stuff that YouTube's doing with the small YouTubers. And if you're not subscribed, then definitely subscribe and hit that little bell so that you can get notifications on all my future content. Thank you very much, guys, for listening. Have a good one. Nerd Scum, out.